Everyone, and welcome back to one of our recordings for the Michael's Winter Workshop. We are very excited for this awesome Kids Club experience and being able to bring you 12 different crafts. Today we are going to be making a painted clay ornament dish. So here is the example. Here is also another one. So we can get super creative. We're going to make this dish right now. So if you are ready, we're going to go ahead and switch to the overhead and we are going to get started. The first thing is we need to figure out everything that we need. So hopefully you've already taken a trip to Michael's and have been able to pick up some of these things. Some of the things that we are going to need today is the Crayola air dry clay. This one is white. So this is a very, very big thing. It's 2.5 pounds. So you'll be able to make all kinds of things with this, but this is for today's project. We also have our Creatology clay tool set. It has 5 different pieces that all do different things. We've actually been able to use these in another one of our winter workshop projects. So if you go ahead and get it, you know that it's going to be able to do multiple different things. So it's super, super great. So we are going to be using several pieces of this today. The big things will be the rollers. We're going to need some paint brushes. I'm using the Creatology. It's the 6-piece set. So it has something for everything. This one's really great. I'll be able today to paint and not have to even wash my brushes in between. So that one's going to be super, super great. Same thing with this. We have several other projects that use these paintbrushes. So if you get them, you have several things that you can use it on just from the winter workshop. I have pulled a plastic paint palette. You do not have to get this, but this is really, really helpful if you'd like. You could use a plate at home. You could use they actually have paper ones as well, paper palettes that you can buy, but I am going to use this one to help with cleanup. And then the most important thing is our Creatology acrylic paint kit. It has 18 colors. So you can see all the different ones in there. I'm going to be picking a couple colors today. It seems like pink is one of the most popular colors for winter this year. So I'm definitely going to be pulling some of the pinks and the reds and the greens and things like that. So this one has a lot of really great colors that you can choose from that are going to be really, really good for this project and many other projects. Because these paints are recommended for 5+, that is what we have this project recommended is for 5+. But if you're a little bit younger and have an adult right there to help you, you are not going to have any problems either. We do always say having an adult with you is going to make things just a little bit easier. The last things that you may need today is it does say either a small bowl. I'm using a cup to kind of lay our dish over to make sure that it dries a little bit like this. So we'll get to that part later, but that is going to be helpful if you have something. I'm using just a plastic one, so that way at the end I can throw it away and not worry about it. And the last thing that I have here is I just have some wet paper towels. If you're at home, it's not going to be a big deal because you can always pause the video, get up, go wash your hands, but the clay does leave a little bit of residue on your hands. And then of course we are using paint. So having something there, a wipe or a paper towel or something is going to be very helpful. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I do have a little mat laid down so I don't get the table super dirty. So if you do have some big paper or anything laid down, that is really neat. You can see I've used a little bit of my clay. I've actually made 3 dishes already and only used this much clay. So like I said, it does have a lot of use out of it. So that is a really, really great buy. So we're going to just start with a small amount. We can always add to it, and I'd rather add. So I'm going to grab a small amount of clay. This is your project. You can make it as big or as small as you would like, but I'm going to make it about this size. So that way it's easily manageable and I can paint it with you guys here today. So we're gonna take the clay and we're just gonna knead it in our fingers just for a few minutes. So all that's doing is making sure that all the moisture is going back into the different pieces of the clay. When you do open it up, you're gonna see it has a few ridges, a little bit of, it's not dryness, it's just a little bit of separation. So you do just wanna knead it for just a little bit of time to make sure that it is completely ready to go to make your dish. After you've done that, we are going to go ahead and roll it into a ball. So you can use just your fingers, you can use your table or your paper. Go a little bit slower so you can see. It doesn't have to be perfect. Art never ever has to be perfect because it is yours and yours alone. So we have a little ball and we're just going to flatten it a little bit with our hands to make it a little bit easier for the roller to work. You can choose whichever roller you would like. You could use this one or the actual rolling pin. I'm going to start with this one and we're just going to start flattening it out a little. So you don't want this to get too flat because we don't want any breakage in the bottom as it does start to dry. But I'm going to get it into a nice flatter circle, kind of like a mini silver dollar pancake, you might say. And then I'm going to start working on bringing up the edges. If you start to see fingerprints or anything like you can see with mine, you can just push those right back down. You can make this a deeper bowl. This one is a little bit deeper, so you can see it just has a little bit of a bigger thing. This one is not quite. This one is a little bit more shallow, has just a little bit of a lip on the side. I'm going to do something similar to this one today because I'm going to be painting with you and I want you to be able to see it. And I don't want to have to worry about the sides too much. But if you are going to be building your dish first and then letting it dry overnight, you definitely could make it have a little more depth to it. So after you have your dish built out a little bit, as you can see, it's pretty flat on the inside. It's built up like a small little bowl or a little plate. You can see it from the side. What I'm going to do for now is while I start working on the next piece, I'm just going to lay it over my cup. So you can see my little cup right here. I'm just going to lay it there and just give it just a few minutes while I work on the other pieces to kind of form that really nice dish. You can see kind of where the edges are right around the cup. A bowl does work really, really well with this. So the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to make the little top of our ornament. So this would be where what looks like where you would hang it. And once this dries completely, it is light enough that you really could hang it from a tree if you would like to. It is a little bit fragile because it is clay. So that's why we're using it as a little dish for you to put things in. But you absolutely could hang it from a tree. So once again, we're just going to knead the clay just a little bit. And I'm just going to pinch off a little side. So this is a very small amount, and this might even be too big. We'll have to see. I think it is. So we'll pinch off a little bit more. And we're just going to take it into a little ball. And then we're going to form it into a little bit of an oval shape almost. And there's that. And then we're going to take another little piece and we are going to make this into the loop for the top. So I like to take a little bitty ball and then make it into a little snake. So can you see that? We're just gonna make it into a little snake. And then you can pinch it together at the very bottom to make sure it's secure. Stretch it however you need to. And then we are going to take this and we're going to put it on the back of that. Now with that one, we're just going to press down a little bit, smooth it out with your fingers. If you want to use one of your tools, this one is really great to help smooth it out and to help place it. So we're just going to do that. And you see we have our little hook. We're going to make sure it's nice and put together. Now, luckily this part is small, so if you do need to replace it, it is absolutely fine. I actually have another one that I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit that I have broken this piece off 3 times and it's just not going back together now. So luckily I can just remake it because it just takes a tiny bit of clay. So now that you've done that, you're going to want to put this on the clay dish. And so I like to find one of the little bit of a longer piece, maybe a piece that's over here. And we're going to go ahead and place it on the dish. It's going to kind of go on the top. You can see it right there. It definitely will adhere a little bit more. You can use your tool again. And then at this point, you can also take this tool and make a couple of little lines in it so it looks just like the top of an ornament. So I'm going to lay it once again on the cup because we are just giving it a few minutes to harden up just the teeniest bit. It does take at least 24 hours to get pretty solid. It actually, the longer that it dries, the lighter it dries. So the longer that you can leave it, the better. And while that happens, I am going to go ahead and do a quick wipe of my hands. Like we talked about, there does get a little bit of residue from the clay. So just a tiny bit, just to not spread the mess around. And then a big thing that we want to remember is to always put the lid back on our clay so that way it stays nice and fresh and you can use it for a long time. As you see the white clay, you may not think that it's super white, but the drier that it gets, the whiter it gets. So it is a little bit darker from some of the moisture. So it will get lighter as it dries. So this is the time, like we talked about, this is about 24 hours old. This is the one that I have broken and I've had to fix, but that's fine. So you can see that it does get lighter as it dries. So there's the difference between the two. This is the one that I made about 24 hours ago. So it does do that. So at this point, you can either wait, let your dish dry, pause the video, set a little marker and plan to come back. Or if you would like to keep going, we can do that right now because I'm going to keep going with the one that we are using. So it is absolutely possible to paint it while it is wet. So we're going to go ahead and get our paints picked out. So I talked about it a little bit that pink is the color of the season this year. I'm even wearing my pink shirt. So I'm going to use a little bit of this light pink. And then we have to have the reds and the greens for Christmas and holiday season. So everywhere that you look during the winter, you see a little bit of red and a little bit of green. So I'm going to do some of those. And then maybe a little bit of this lighter green as well, because I think it'll pop really well on this pink. And then we want to make sure and grab our gray out because the gray is going to be the color that we use for the top of the ornament. So we want to make sure and have our gray. And then if we were going to do one more color, we could either do white, maybe we could do this really pretty light blue. We could do a darker pink. That would look really great too. This is yours. If you wanted to add yellow, you could do yellow stars. If you wanted to do purple, you could paint with purple. The different aqua and the teals are really pretty. If you wanted to add some black, you could do that. After you get it painted, if you wanted to add some glitter, you could absolutely do that as well. This is your ornament. This is your dish. You can be as creative as you want. We have done several different ones already. So this one just has kind of a mixed painting just to kind of look like it's a really cool little ornament. This one has flowers on it with a few little polka dots. You could do stripes. You could do snowflakes. You could do a little Christmas tree. It is your painting. So I was thinking today, maybe just doing some polka dots. We'll see what happens after we get our paints out. So now we have all of our brushes. So like I said, this package just come with 6. So here are the different sizes. There's this one that's a little bit of just a blunt tip. It's the square. This one does have the edge on it. That's really great for getting into the corners. We have a couple of smaller ones to be able to do some of the details. And then this rectangle one as well. And they are all different colors. So it helps you remember. So all of these paints do come with a seal on them. So they just have a little plastic piece that we just have to peel that off very carefully. And as we do that, I'm going to kind of pick the colors that I think I'm going to use. So I know that my background is going to be pink, so I want to use my biggest one. And I'm going to go ahead and put some pink onto my little palette here. You don't need much, it goes a long way. To help with the freshness, I am going to go ahead and put these little lids back on. Your parents will be happy with that too, because it helps make sure the paint doesn't get everywhere. So that one's the pink. We're going to do a little bit of red. We are just going to get that in there. That's what happens when I try not to use the brush. It's going to be this one. So it's a good thing that I still have my wet paper towel. So I'll be able to clean up in between colors so I don't mix them. Let's see, a little bit of green next. I have a little one at home and green is her favorite color. She loves green. And it's a good thing I laid paper down because I wasn't even paying attention and I made a little bit of a mess. That is okay. Finally, we have this little bit of a brighter green. Just gonna do a little bit over here. If you want to do more colors, you are welcome to wash your brushes in between. You could also get a little cup of water and rinse your brushes that way. But although this is washable, it is acrylic, so it takes a little bit longer to get those washed. So just remember that. And then finally, just a tiny bit of the gray. It's the same brush. Alrighty. So with that, we are ready to go. We're over here mixing colors. This one does get a little messier than some of our other projects. So just be prepared. Make sure that whatever adult that you're hanging out with right now is prepared for that as well. But painting is one of the best ways to use your creativity. We love it. So now I'm going to put this up here. While we're letting this dry for just a few more seconds, let's go ahead and talk about what happens after you're done. We want to see your dish. We want to see all of the projects that you're making this year with the Michael's Kids Club Winter Workshop. So if you do that, you can have an adult, make sure they share it to social media. All the different sites are great. You can do hashtag make it with Michael's, hashtag Michael's classes. If you wanted to do hashtag winter workshop or hashtag anything else that you can possibly think of, we just know we want to go and see it. But these two, you can also, if you click that hashtag, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can go in and you can see everybody else and the things that they have posted as well. Use that to get ideas, or maybe you just want to see what other people are doing with their own creativity. So this is still wet, obviously, like we said, it is going to stay wet for quite a while, but we are going to go ahead and paint it. We're just going to kind of rework it, make sure it's ready. It's got a nice little lip. After you have painted it, you can, if the paint is thin, you can let it dry, but you can just keep coming over and just making sure that it stays up. It is not a problem. So we're going to start with our pink. So I do want to get, because it is still wet, we do want to get a pretty good amount. And we're just going to go ahead and start painting our dish. I do think pink is going to be everywhere this year. And don't worry, if you are not a fan of pink, you never have to use it. That's the best part of being an individual. I have not always really liked the color pink. And here recently, I have decided that pink is probably one of my favorite colors. So as you get older, sometimes those kind of things change and we start liking things just a little bit different. And what a fun part of growing up is just finding things that you may not have liked before and liking them now. Maybe you're wanting to make this as a gift. Maybe you want to give it to a grandma or an aunt, or maybe even your mom, a sister, a grandfather. You can paint it whatever they may like. Maybe your dad likes cars and you want to paint a car on here. Maybe your big sister really loves animals. You could always paint it like an animal. Maybe a fun leopard print or like zebra and give it to them as a gift. Your choices are endless. So now to go ahead and get it out of the way, we're gonna paint the top really quick. We're gonna get our gray, and the paint palette is nice and helpful at this point because it can help keep that up. So I can see all the edges. The top of it would be a really, really good place if you wanted to add some glitter. You could do some silver glitter at the very top, make it look nice and shiny. Also, if you wanted to do it a little bit differently, you could always um, poke a hole in your clay and actually use a regular hook if you didn't want to do it the same way that we have using the clay for the top. But because we are using it as a dish and not an actual ornament, this is the perfect thing. So at this point, we're just gonna make sure that everything is covered. I have a few little pink places that I touched that I'm just gonna go back over. We're not looking for perfection. We never are. We're just looking for it to show your creativity. So I think at this point, maybe we do a little Christmas tree, or we could do some polka dots or some stripes. I'm thinking a little Christmas tree would be fun though. So I'm going to take this edge that is slanted, and it's going to help me just make little lines here for our Christmas tree. We're going to start like that. And we're just going to spread it out as we go down. This is a really, really easy way to make really, really nice Christmas tree or pine tree. If you don't celebrate Christmas and you would like to do something else, maybe something with a menorah if you celebrate Hanukkah, or if you wanted to paint it with the colors that you celebrate with Kwanzaa, all kinds of different things. Definitely do not have to go with Christmas. All of our projects that we are doing this year can be made for everyone. So there's my little Christmas tree. I didn't do any brown, and that's okay. I'm just going to use a tiny bit of gray for the bottom. And then I'm going to come back in with my little one, and I'm going to take some of this bright lime green because I think it is such a fun color. Can you see it? Can you see how fun that color is? Look at that. I'm just going to come in and just add a little tiny bit of that lime green to my Christmas tree, to my tree. And then while I'm using this bright green, I think I'm going to add just some little circles. Just to add a little bit extra all around the edges. My circles for my little dots are never perfect. Like we always say, that's okay. Art is never meant to be perfect. So there's our little polka dots. Then we're gonna come back in with just a little bit of the red to add a tiny bit of red. So same thing. And now I'm gonna take it, and since I'm using the tiniest little one, I'm just gonna add tiny little dots. We want to add them to the tree, like ornaments, or maybe they're berries. Then we're gonna add them all around the edge as well. Just to add to our little dots. And then I'm gonna come back behind and do a couple of bigger circles to add to my dots as well. Then what do we think? Do we think we need to add a star? Do we think we need to pull out the yellow? I think it is perfect. If you wanted to add a star, you absolutely could. But since I do not have time to go and wash my brushes, I'm not going to fuss with it at this point. We are just going to show you how that looks. And there's your little dish. At this point, you are going to want to leave it. It is wet. The clay is wet and the paint is wet. So you're going to leave it for a while to dry. I would probably say a couple hours just to make sure that it's completely dry. And then like we talked about, here is it a little bit more finished. You can see kind of the way that it looks. It's perfect to put rings in. So if you have a mom or a grandma, they have a great little dish for them to put their rings in or earrings. That's a really great thing. You can do it in your bedroom. You can put something in there. It can hold Legos or it can hold just about anything you can possibly think of. So once again, we are so excited that you came and you crafted with us today with the Michaels Winter Workshop. We have several other projects if you haven't been able to go and see them. Like I said, this is just one of 12, and a lot of the same things are used for many of the other projects. So run to Michaels, grab some extra stuff, and we hope to see you at another one of our projects soon. Thank you so very much. We are so excited that you joined us. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.